In this video, we will be talking about how to correct a right-on-right forward sacral torsion. This is where the right iliosacral angle is more posterior and the sacrum is rotated right on the right axis. In this case, the left sacral base is stuck anteriorly. A basic overview of this technique is to first position the patient to the point of restriction, then apply force in the direction of movement restriction and have the patient resist isometrically. We're going to hold that contraction for approximately 5 seconds before moving the patient to the new point of restriction, and then continue 3 to 5 times or until the movement of the restricted segment stops improving. For step 1, we're going to have the patient lay on the same side as the axis they are rotated on. We're going to palpate L5 to monitor for rotation of the L5 and sacral base. Then we're going to have the patient bring their top arm across their body and use it to rotate the trunk to the same side. Then they will flex and rotate both hips to the right until just before movement is felt at L5. So as we can see here, the patient's going to start off in sitting. Then we will have them lay down on their side. Palpate L5 to make sure we know what's moving and when it's moving. We're going to rotate their trunk by bringing their arm down at the top. And then flex their hips until we feel movement at that restricted joint. And we can use our body to stabilize their legs to make sure that the patient feels comfortable. Before we prepare to go into an isometric contraction. So here it is from a different view. You can see another way to stabilize the patient's body where you're still palpating at L5, but as you bring their legs forward, you can also kind of rest their legs on your thigh. And then finally, one more way just to get a good idea of how the lower extremities are moving here. Step 2 is to apply a force by gently pushing the patient's foot towards the ground and have the patient resist isometrically. We're going to hold for 5 seconds and then move the patient to the new point of restriction by flexing the hips and or moving them towards the ground more. We will repeat that 3 to 5 times or until the movement restriction stops improving. So as we can see here, we've already got the patient set up. We're going to try and push their legs down to the ground and have them resist isometrically. And then they will hold for 5 seconds, and then we will relax them and position them to the new point of movement restriction. Here's another way to view it. So you bring them down, and as you can see, I'm actually pushing in through my forearm, not my hand. I'm just using my hand to stabilize the patient's foot. Have them hold, and then relax and bring them down a little bit further until we reach that new point of restriction. An exercise for a right-on-right forward sacral torsion that you can send them home with is to have the patient lay on their back with their left arm, or their top arm, brought across their chest and let hang towards the floor. Then they should rotate their hips to the right, bend their knees and flex their hips. Then have the patient reach towards the floor with their top arm and repeat 10 times before taking a 1-minute rest break. Then they can repeat this exercise for 2 more sets for a total of 3 sets of 10. So as we can see here, the patient's already kind of been set up and she is just pushing towards the ground with that top arm while keeping her hips straight and really just mainly moving that upper extremity.